Well, I've been doing a lot of gardening at home. I'm growing my first vegetable garden, some herbs, just trying to stay sane through some physical activity, running, meditation, yoga, all these things. Uh, it was it was definitely a period of adjustment at first, and it was a great loss to see the season go as it was. So it's been a sad time. I've been missing my colleagues, but we've been doing our best with what we've got and trying to get creative and move forward with our season.
I've been doing okay. Initially, I kind of struggled with the whole lack of, performing, and then some of my colleagues decided we should do some things electronically, so that helped having projects and started working on just projects around the house as far as gardening and going on lots of bike rides. So I've been really exploring the metro parks actually on my bike. So that's been fun. And then, of course, keeping up the practice routine.
It's been a really interesting time of introspection, and I've been practicing quite a bit and teaching remotely. I teach at Wright State. I'm the clarinet professor there, doing a lot of remote teaching. And I've been journaling a lot, and I think one of the things that is really has been really important is actually the clarinet, because I've often found I've really missed all of my colleagues in the orchestra a terrible deal, and getting to make music together is just so much a regular part of what we do. So even if we only get to collaborate remotely, or or if I just spend time alone with the instrument, I found that's been really helpful.
Well, when we play chamber music in small groups like our Woodwind Quintet of only five, you can really pick up on things, subtleties that people around you are doing. And sometimes in the orchestra, those changes take a little bit longer to occur just because sight lines aren't there always. But still, playing with people live is such a pleasure. I mean, that's one of the things I've learned as I've learned about technology and started recording different projects with people, is that these slight nuances that occur just because you're with someone live, it just doesn't happen. That, whether it's a big group or a small group, those things don't happen when you're just layering tracks, and I really miss that. So I'm glad to be back with my colleagues playing. Well, when we're holding the oboe up after cleaning it, we're looking down the bore to make sure that there's nothing left. So some oboists use feathers, and I've used feathers at certain points in my career, and you want to make sure there's not a little teeny bit of feather in there, because that will make your instrument not respond properly. And sometimes we'll just look down the bore because something feels strange, and you might see that there's a water bubble, and so you want to make sure that the swab actually got that water bubble, because depending upon where it is in the oboe, the swab doesn't always get things that are lower down unless you have just the right angle. So we're looking for those sorts of things when we're peering down the oboe after cleaning.
My understanding is that historically woodwind quintets were made of the first winds that were in the orchestra at the time. And so the horn being the first brass instrument to become part of the standard orchestra, it entered into this quintet with the other winds that were already there. Hopefully I'm getting my history right there. I love playing in both brass quintets and woodwind quintets, but I am partial to the woodwind quintet. I find it takes a lot of finesse, and there's a lot of challenge as far as blending with other instruments' sounds. I have to sound like a flute sometimes. I have to sound like a clarinet other times, and so I really do like the challenge of blending with my colleagues in that way. The sound of a brass quintet is a lot more homogeneous, so it's easier, and I enjoy that as well. But the woodwind quintet is my favorite.
Well, I guess I'd have to say I really enjoy playing Tico Tico. It's just fun and upbeat, and everyone, trades off the melody. Well, except for our bassoonist Rachel, she's pretty much doing that bassoon rhythm thing the whole time. But most of us get a chance with the rhythm, or excuse me, with the melody, and it's just a fun, happy piece. And I think most people recognize it. It's a very well-recorded piece by a Brazilian composer. I don't know exactly how to pronounce his name, but Zequina de Abreu, I think. And I think it's one of the most recorded pieces of Brazilian literature, and for guitarists and everyone. I mean, you've probably heard it in any form, whether it's quintet or orchestra or, guitar, you name it, it's out there.
In this program, I think my favorite has got to be the Sea Shanties by Malcolm Arnold. It's one of the few pieces in our program that was actually written for wind quintet instead of transcribed for wind quintet. And so the orchestration is just phenomenal, and it's challenging and fun to play.
That's really tough. The cop-out would be to say I like all of them. But I would say probably my favorite is the Menuet from the Nielsen Quintet. Carl Nielsen, I think, is just an amazing composer, and especially for woodwinds, I think he plays with colors in a way that's just really, 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 really beautiful. And I think his Woodwind Quintet really exemplifies that. He plays with colors in such an amazing way. So I would say probably the Nielsen Quintet is probably my favorite piece on the program.